this is Diane. You're currently watching the Just Kidding Around show. Thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to introduce you to a new guest this week. This is Chrissy. Hi, Chrissy.
Hi, Diane.
And your last name's Bailey, is that right? So Chrissy's here to talk to us about a very wonderful organization and a fabulous project that they're working on. But before we get started, Chrissy, can we look into the camera? I think camera 2 is on. The one that's red. Oh, no, it's camera 4. They're playing jokes on us or something. And we like to start by saying hi to somebody in our viewership. So I'm going to say, hi, Kip and Helen.
And I'm going to say, hi, Kip and Helen.
I know. I just found out. She knows my cousin. They played soccer together. Were they good soccer players?
Very good soccer players.
You look like you would be. So what is the name of the organization that you represent?
I volunteer with Covenant Creatures Companion Animal Program.
And how long have they been around?
We are in our 10th year.
10 years. And are they just located in Olympia or statewide?
Our physical location is in Olympia, but we serve people from really the greater Olympia area. So Shelton, we do have some clients out on the coast, folks from Mason County, Thurston County,
Wow.
Pierce County primarily.
That's a lot. So are there other chapters, or is this just something in our area?
It's just in our area right now.
Okay, so you actually created this. Do other cities, nobody else has an organization like this?
Not really
Anyone?
similar, actually. Our executive director had the idea about 10 years ago, and there are organizations that do similar functions or serve similar functions in the community, but we do have some things that are very unique to Covenant Creatures, some functions.
So if we go on the internet, could we type in Covenant?
Absolutely.
Do you have a website?
Yes, we do.
And just Covenant Creatures will get us there?
CovenantCreatures.com, yes.
Great,
Yep.
okay. And you are on the board, is that right?
I am on the board, yes.
Okay, and what is the name of this person that you said that started the executive?
Leanne Johnson is our executive director.
And this was her vision and her
Yes.
creation.
Yes.
Wonderful. Maybe sometime we'll have her on too.
That would be great.
Okay, so tell us about the people you serve and just take it away.
About what we do? Sure.
Yeah.
So Covenant Creatures is a 501c3 nonprofit organization.
Stop right there. So I can have money taken out of my paycheck
Yes.
to go to you?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I can see a plan already. Okay, go on.
So we primarily, we've really got kind of 3 legs to our program, and I can talk a little bit more about this as we go through some pictures. We brought a lot of pictures with us tonight, or I brought pictures with us. That seems to do a really good job of telling our story, helping tell our story. But we serve primarily folks who are under the federal poverty level. We do inflate those guidelines by a little bit, but anyone who meets those guidelines qualifies for our services. And we focus on education and providing vet care for the pets of those families or those individuals who are below the federal poverty level. And we also provide supplies for their animals. So if they need food or cat litter or dog beds or sweaters, we've got, a fair number of our clients are homeless or at times are homeless. And so they're living outdoors during very cold weather like we're experiencing now.
Oh, it must be awful out there. Yeah. So where do they go to actually get, what physical spot do they go to actually get the food and the care, vet care, and where? That's
a really good question. We have a care center that we operate out of. Right now, we don't have a location. We have been operating out of a location for 3 years until the end of 2016. And the person who was graciously donating us that space needed to expand her business and needs to use that space. So currently, we are also homeless.
Oh, you're homeless. So maybe if somebody out there, normally we couldn't do this, but you're a non-profit organization, not for profit.
Correct.
So actually, if there's anybody out there in our viewership that knows of what do you need, like a space?
That would be great, actually, yeah. And I've got, I actually brought a PowerPoint presentation with me tonight to talk you through a little bit more detail about what we do. And in that presentation, I'll go into a little more detail about the kinds of things we're looking for in an ideal location.
Do you want Tom to start it up? Is this a good time for that?
Yeah.
Tom, who's our director, he's the one that makes everything happen. Look at that.
Great.
He's making it happen.
Thank you, Tom. You can go to the next slide. So this is just a little bit about us. It outlines what our mission is. And as you can see, it's to cultivate mutually beneficial relationships with animals for the purpose of the well-being and growth of both the people and the animals. So as I mentioned, we're a 501(c)(3). This is our 10th year of operation, and we are completely volunteer-based. So what we do, we have a dedicated team of trained volunteers that assist our low-income and homeless neighbors take care of their pets and help pet owners achieve the peace of mind from having a healthy, well-fed, and well-cared-for pet. In specific, we provide pet food and supplies and education to people that are in need at our care center. So this is what you're asking about, our physical location. And something that's very unique among the regional animal care organizations is that we provide basic vet care. We educate the community and build support for our mission through events and through partnerships. So I'll talk a little bit more about our care center and show you some of the photos that illustrate what we do at the care center and talk about where we've been and where we're headed. So Covenant Creatures, as you may have seen, is a companion animal program. And what that really means is, you know, in this community and in the region, there are a lot of service animal organizations. So our goal and our aim is to help folks with non-service animals. And we're not really geared towards animals like horses, so it's primarily dogs that we'll see, primarily cats that we'll see. And as I mentioned, our clients are anyone who's below the federal poverty level, which we inflate by about 20%. So that includes a lot of working poor folks, homeless folks, or restricted income. You can see here, we also have clients with chickens. So if they're pets,
is that a chicken?
that is a chicken. That's actually maybe a rooster, but. So yeah, some of these photos are just intended to illustrate what happens at our care center. So we first started working out of a parking lot downtown. It was complicated because, as you can see, we have had a lot of clients. At certain nights, we'd have between 30 and 60 people lined up for services. It was great, though, because we had a lot of space where we could spread out a number of vets who could see our clients. As I mentioned, we're all volunteer-based, and so we do provide our services free of charge, with the exception of seeing the vet. We ask for an $8 donation.
Okay.
Other than that, grants and donations fund our programs.
And who are the vets? Are there a variety of vets, or just
Currently,
one vet?
we're mostly operating with one vet. Some of that is because the space we were operating out of recently was very small. We only had one room. So at the time, most currently, we really only have one vet. But we're definitely open to having more veterinarians and vet techs as volunteers.
So if our viewers know of any vets, and can they donate time and then have it taken off their income tax? Not that I think of it.
Yeah, I believe so.
Do that.
I believe so. I'm not certain about
but
that,
time is money. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, one thing I would like to mention, and this is kind of just my personal opinion and how working with this organization has made a difference. You can see a quote on the screen here from a gentleman who works with a lot of low-income and homeless folks in Scotland. But a lot of people have asked us over time, doesn't providing this vet care or these services to folks encourage people who can't take care of themselves to have animals that then they also can't take care of? And I will say that at times, I used to have that opinion, but working with this organization has really changed my view, and I see that most people take better care of their animals than they do of themselves. Oftentimes those animals eat before they eat, and they're really concerned with their welfare. And what dog wouldn't want to spend all day with its person?
Yeah.
So it's really changed my perception, and working with folks and working with the animals in the community to really understand that, as it says up there, that human-animal bond is incredibly strong in these circumstances. So that's just for a lot of folks who might be feeling like our program could potentially enable people to have animals that shouldn't have animals. We see it very differently.
Yeah, well, I used to be fairly judgmental about that, and I've totally changed my thinking on that, because I don't know, if I were homeless, sometimes you have nobody to talk to, And if you have a pet, you can always talk to them, and they love you unconditionally.
Exactly.
They don't judge you the way people might.
Exactly.
You know, they keep you warm at night. They help protect you.
Yes.
There's so many reasons why I would think a homeless person would actually want a pet.
Yes.
Not a chicken, though. Maybe the legs. I don't know.
And it teaches, you know, we found it teaches responsibility and engaging with other human beings. And it actually really seems to do a lot of good. And from these pictures, you can see why, as a volunteer, it's also a really fun organization to volunteer with. And so these photos really, as I mentioned, just kind of show folks waiting for some of our services. We've got all different walks of life, all different kinds of pets, all different kinds of animals. We've got a couple more pictures here. And then we've also got some statistics for you. And it helps understand, I think, the gap that our program fills in the community. And one of those statistics is right here. It's that approximately 10.3% of the individuals in Thurston County live below the poverty line, and another almost 10% of families do as well. So you can see, you know, at least 10% of the population in this community alone would qualify for our services and likely needs our services.
Wow, that's a chunk.
And currently, because the location, as I mentioned, that we were operating out of until the end of last year was needed by the person who was graciously donating that space to us, we're currently somewhat operating out of a storage unit. So kind of the way our operations work, and I'll talk a little bit more later about all of the partnerships we have in the community, is we've got various locations and businesses that donate dog food and collect supplies for us. So we've got volunteers who go around the community and collect those supplies. We take them to the storage unit and we document all of that information, and then we take it as needed to our care center. And so these are, again, some photos from our care center and some photos of our storage unit and our veterinarian technicians there working on some pets. And then we hand these materials out at the care center so people can come see the vet, come see the vet tech, pick up food for a couple of weeks, pick up cat litter, pick up whatever it is that they might need for their pet. And we actually get some pretty specialized donations from the community. You might be surprised. I learned a lot about chinchillas the past year, and what they need. And so we've got a lot of amazing partners in the community. And again, I just can't emphasize enough the gap that our program fills for some of the low-income people in this community, and why it's really important to us right now. And our most important goal, or our primary goal, is to get ourselves back out on the streets and serving the community by finding ourselves a permanent location.
So right now, there is no location anymore.
Correct. And we're working with various organizations to even try to identify a temporary or an interim location that we can operate out of. That's a little bit hard to do with the weather right now, and to find a place for the vets primarily. You know, doing that outside's kind of difficult, but we'll, you know, if it works, if we can make it work, we'll do it.
Is there a special area of town that you want this new venue? Or?
Ideally, we like to be close to downtown. One absolute necessity is that we be on a bus line, because we've got a lot of clients that don't have another form of transportation. And so we like to be on a bus line, and as I said, close to downtown, because that's really the most visible to the community and also visible and accessible to our clients. So. And here's just some highlights about the things we'd be looking for in a new home. We're looking for something that's got a budget of around $1,000 a month. Ideally 2 rooms. As I mentioned, we're generally limited to the number of clients we can see by the number of vets and vet techs we have, which equates to the number of rooms in our facility. Something that's accessible to the community and our clients, like we were just talking about. Something that allows animals in the building. Ideally, we like to have a dedicated parking lot or a place that our clients can gather while they're waiting to see the vet or the vet tech or to get their supplies. And as I also mentioned, we're open to a shared space or a temporary location to provide those veterinary services because that's the most unique thing we do, until we can find a permanent location. The other thing that I mentioned that's a big component of the work that we do in the outreach in the community, we do that through our events. And one element of this is educating our clients through the care center function, but again, the broader community we reach primarily through our events. So I wanted to mention an upcoming event, February 25th. We have a Winter and Wine Veterinary Care fundraiser. It's a wine tasting. It'll be held at Grand Vine downtown. We're still working on the hours and the ticket prices. We usually have a raffle. And again, the funds from this fundraiser go directly to provide veterinary care to the animals and the pets of our clients. It's a dedicated account. We also typically do a fundraiser in May. This is generally our longest standing fundraising tradition. It's a charity auction fundraiser. We have some really fun bidding wars. We have live and silent auctions and a dessert auction. It's really just a good opportunity to get together with other folks and hear about the ways that Covenant Creatures has helped them and the ways that we've helped various portions of the community and have a good time with other supporters. Typically, we've held this at the Heritage Room on Capitol Lake, and we've always been very grateful for the support and the participation of their staff in our efforts as well. One of the other things we do, and that honestly got me involved as a volunteer at Covenant Creatures, is an event we call Love a Pit Bull Day. As you may imagine, or as people may have seen for themselves, a lot of our clients have pit bulls, and you probably would have noticed that in the pictures. We are supporters of pit bulls and supporters of the breed and bully breeds in general. So the focus of this event is for education and for fun. We combine a bully walk, so we have everyone bring their pit bulls and we walk around Capitol Lake, and the purpose of that is to educate the public about what good dogs, pit bulls, can be in the hands of good owners. We do a lot of games, so it's fun for the dogs. We've got vendors there. As I mentioned, we usually have an educational component, so we've done something like the history of pit bulls. They were known as nanny dogs during the wars.
Oh, really? Nanny dogs?
Nanny dogs, yes. Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they were very, very good family dogs until that perception has changed over time.
And I want to ask you about, you said you have vendors at that event, at the Bully One. What are the vendors? Do they sell just animal things?
A lot of times they're selling animal things, but we also do like education. We do have food for humans, but we'll have educational components, or we've got, a lot of times we invite bully-specific businesses, or there are, insurance companies that cater to bully owners. There are actually a lot of insurance companies, or some, that won't give you insurance if you have a pit bull. Yes, and so there are some who do. So we invite everyone who can be a resource to the pit bull community.
I think the pendulum on that's starting to swing a little bit.
I hope so.
I used to be afraid of pit bulls, but I've seen far more friendly ones than I have angry ones.
Yeah. And so that's really a big element of that event is education, is to get people to just really come see and judge for themselves and to try to overcome.
And when is that the event in May?
No, we hold that event. This year it will be September 16th of 2017.
So you have something going on all year round.
We do. We're very busy.
Okay.
And during the summer, the next thing that we talk a little bit about is all the community events that we don't necessarily host, but that we participate in. So that's another way that we're out trying to educate the community about what we do, just get our name out there. We have a great network of animal care organizations in this area, and everyone's really supportive of helping one another get the visibility and spread the word. So some of these photos are from events that we have participated in. Pet Connections magazine puts on a doggone Easter egg hunt. That is a lot of fun for us and for the dogs. They get to hunt for Easter eggs. It's really an opportunity for us to provide education, like why should you spay and neuter your pets, connect people to certain resources that they may need. Again, really just to get our name out there, familiarize the community with who we are and what we do. And then another really fun part of it is connecting with potential volunteers. And typically, as these pictures show, we try to provide games and other fun things that draw people in and draw the animals in.
May I interrupt for a second?
Absolutely.
How many volunteers do you have right now?
Gosh, that's a good question. I don't know the number off the top of my head. We've probably got 15 to 18 core volunteers.
Is Beth one of those?
Beth is one of those. A handful of volunteers primarily focus on volunteering at the care center, but then we have other volunteers who are really behind the scenes and you never see. People who help keep track of our income and our expenses, people who answer all of our phone calls and schedule the vet clinic, the vet visits. So yeah, there's about 15 to 18 of us right now, I would say. And so again, just, some of the partnerships that we have in the community, we've really realized we're stronger together. One of the things you mentioned earlier, we are a nonprofit, and so for Washington State employees, you can find us through the Combined Fund Drive. So we've got great partnerships with people in the community who fill our fill our baskets at vet clinics, people who through the Ralph's Thriftway and the Bayview Thriftway Community Rewards Program, you can donate to Covenant Creatures every time you buy something there.
Okay.
Same with Fred Meyer. Capital City Dolls did a food drive for us this year. We're also part of the Community Rewards Program at Fred Meyer. Through Amazon Smile, if you purchase things, they will donate a portion of the proceeds to Covenant Creatures.
Oh.
And then my favorite, if you're a smartphone user, you can go to the Woof Tracks app. And it's called Walk Like a Dog, and it basically gives credit to Covenant Creatures for the number of people that are walking for us. So if you already are a dog walker and you walk your dog daily, if you log those walks with Woof Tracks and Walk Like a Dog, Covenant Creatures receives funding from them through that program.
Oh.
So it's really easy.
That sounds easy, yeah.
And as you were asking, like we do have 15 to 18 volunteers right now, but we do have volunteer opportunities. We can always use, especially when we find a permanent location with a little more space, we have needs for veterinarians, veterinary technicians. We need a volunteer coordinator, someone to help us bring on new volunteers and coordinate training those volunteers. We could always use help writing grants, and then one of our biggest needs right now, if anybody out there watching is interested, being a volunteer marketing coordinator for us, helping us better spread the word about what we do in addition to the efforts we're already making would be really welcome. And that Invest in Kindness is our logo for our volunteers. And so to learn more about us, people can visit our website, which again is www.covenantcreatures.com. You can email us at covenantcreatures@vercom.net, or you can visit us and follow us on Facebook.
All right, wonderful. And I want to thank you for making that PowerPoint just for us.
You are welcome.
I
You
hope
are
you
welcome.
get to use it again.
We will
That was
definitely
well
use
put
it.
together. Yeah, and thanks, Waldo, for running that in the edit suite. So a lot of information there. Okay, I know this is going to sound stupid, but what about a tent in a parking lot?
Yeah, we are not above a tent in a parking lot, and
okay.
we've done that before, and we're open to that for right now. As I mentioned, for the vets primarily, sometimes it's a little stressful for the animals if they're hearing other dogs and hearing other people. So while it's not ideal, we're not opposed to that in the interim.
Okay. Also, have you talked about all the different people that have helped you, and I think that's wonderful.
Absolutely.
That all the different businesses let us support you by us donating to them. But is there any other service organization, I'm just throwing this out there, that you could connect with, like Kiwanis or somebody like that? I mean, they might have access to buildings.
That's a good, and we recently had a kind of a volunteer brainstorming meeting where all the volunteers met and talked about ways that we might expand our search through those sorts of routes and talking to folks that we haven't normally had exposure to. And so that includes the business community and, perhaps Rotary clubs or Lions clubs. And so, we've just started talking about
I know
that.
usually they have a mission statement, and Lions usually focuses on eyes, but, I don't know. There might be somebody out there that...
And I think a lot of people, the immediate understanding of what we do is that we help pets and we help their owners. But I think the other thing that sometimes gets overlooked and may be compatible with a mission of an organization that we haven't thought of yet is that kind of that service that it provides to the community in helping people who might not otherwise want to be part of that community or might not engage with the community. It actually helps them do that and maybe gives them a safe
and that they
place
don't know
to go.
how.
Yeah.
So as more and more people use you as a, not 401k, it's a 203B, right? 403B.
501.
501. I don't know all those numbers, but as more and more people use you as a tax deductible, can you eventually afford to just purchase your own building?
Yeah, and we've looked into that.
So you don't have to be
too.
looking for, you know?
Yeah, and in the long run, that would be great. And I think, you know, one of the things we've talked about is getting to that point where we have stable financial,
Yes.
you know, one thing that we're also working on expanding in terms of outreach and connection with the community is we get a lot of product donated. We get a lot of products donated,
good.
and that is great, but it doesn't help us pay the rent, you know, bottom line.
Yes, I got
And
it.
so,
But you need that. You don't want to turn that
Yeah.
down. But I worry too about the homeless person that had a dog and was relying on you.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden you've sort of disappeared a little bit.
Yeah.
And so where do they now go?
Yeah, and there are some other organizations in the community that can fill the gap for providing supplies.
Okay.
And we are coordinating with those. You know, there are some that already do it. But then the vet care is pretty unique to our services, and so
Okay.
right now, we've just tried to let
'cause
people
those-
know ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, please write down there, once again, we only have a few more minutes. We only have about 4 more minutes, but can you give us the email if you know somebody that needs help with their pet and they're having a hard time, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would recommend people either email us at covenantcreatures@vircom.net, which is
Okay.
VIRCOM. You can also, if you go to our website, our email address is on there and our phone number's on there. Our phone is not monitored. There's not someone, you know, sitting there answering calls all
Okay.
the time. So since we are all volunteers, we ask people for a little
Right.
bit of patience in getting back to them. But we can help people navigate that if they're in a situation where they have no other option.
And again, they can just Google this
Yes.
too. So,
Yep.
because there's way. You know, I know somebody, actually a relative of mine who didn't have a lot of money, and I sent him $10, and I said, well, you know, it was just $10, that's all. And I said, well, you know, use this money to, you know, get a meal. He took that money and bought food for his cat. So I just thought of that when we were talking about how people can be judgmental, you know, that a lot of times those people, you know, have such strong bonds.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's one of the, honestly, the most rewarding things for me about this is, you know, I love animals, but people thanking us for something that it means so much to them, and it really does mean so much to them, and hearing them say that and hearing them thank us and, you know, acknowledge that they wouldn't know what to do without it, that's the most meaneful thing.
And sometimes that's all they have to love and all
Yeah.
that loves them. So, whew.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something
No,
else. Now, you also brought this T-shirt. What's this T-shirt for?
Well, we
Let's
did.
tell us about
I don't know
that.
if we have much time, but we could
Get
talk
us
through it.
started.
What I brought a couple of T-shirts because we were going to talk about how to make your own dog toys
And we can make dog
from
toys for...
beat-up T-shirts. Yeah. So we could do an example one real quick.
Let's do it real quick.
And so essentially what I've done is I've just grabbed 2 different T-shirts.
Okay.
And I'm going to cut 3 strips, and they can be all different sizes out of each of these T-shirts.
Why does it have to be a T-shirt?
It doesn't, but it's kind of just a way to maybe use those ratty old
Got it.
T-shirts. One thing
Can
to
we
keep
do
in
this
mind.
with a towel or
You can
something?
do it with a
Just-
towel, anything that you're comfortable with your dog
Okay.
chewing up
Oh,
or
okay.
chewing on.
I just wonder if it needed to be thin because we were going to braid it.
No, well, and that is, you know, originally the first couple times I tried to do this, I tried to use 3 different T-shirts and 5 strips from each rather than 3, and it was too big. It was
Okay.
too much to braid,
So
so
a real
that
thick old...
towel might be challenging.
yeah, towel, I was trying
Yeah.
to think about.
Well, and
Bathrobe.
a bathrobe, yeah.
That'd be too much.
And another thing that you can do with these that's kind of fun is we'll make a braided rope. It's essentially a rope toy, but it's out of T-shirts. But what you can do also is put a tennis ball on there. And so that sometimes is something to think about for how thick you want that braid to be.
Now, do you need 3 pieces for the braid?
I'm going to use 6 because I'm going to kind of braid them together.
Okay.
We'll
Because we're
try
down
to-
to 2
Oh,
minutes.
we're going to go quick.
So she's cutting 6.
Yes, and I'm having a little trouble with the
And
scissors there.
does it matter how wide they are?
Nope.
Those look like they're about 2 inches or so.
Yep.
But it doesn't matter.
Nope.
Do they have to be the same width?
Nope.
All of those 6 pieces?
Nope, they can be any width. I usually try to make them about at least 20 inches long, so that once you braid them together, the rope toy isn't too short.
All right.
But it doesn't really matter. There.
Now, do I hold this up?
I would
May
like to have you hold
It's
that
going to be
up.
pretty. Is this going to go to your
I
dog?
don't well, my dog would probably destroy this in 2 minutes, but
So, you know what, we might have to wrap it up as we're doing this,
yeah,
right?
This is the end of it.
So, Carl's giving us the wrap-up sign. She's braiding it, right?
Yep, very simple.
Very simple. Looks like something any dog would love. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been watching the Just Kidding Around show. Thank you to our crew, Waldo, Carl, and John. Join us again, and hi, Beth. Thank you for
Thank you.
connecting Chrissy and I. Bye.